Show. A little Earth, Wind, and Fire. This last segment, I want to continue with this whole Syria thing we're kicking around. Just because it bugs me so much that we've got people who are just so willing to go over there and meddle when we don't need to be there. Here's another clip real quick from that speech by Senator Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate.
During the Green Revolution in 2009, the Obama administration stood by and allowed the supreme leader of Iran to brutally suppress his people as they protested in the streets.
Wow, I didn't know that. President Obama stood right there. I guess he was in Iran and watched as they brutally suppressed protesters. So, what was the alternative on that? Defend them? That would entail a full-scale military operation, as I'm sure Iran would not be welcoming us with open arms. What are we supposed to do, Senator Cruz? What? Bad things happen in dictatorial countries. Hey, guess what? Bad things happen right here in the United States. We have our own government spying on us in violation of the Constitution. And the guy who brought it all to light is being pursued around the world. While here at home, the government propaganda machine is hard at work trying to, one, convince us this guy is a traitor for telling the government's boss, us, that our employees, the government, is violating our constitutional rights. And B, that all this spying it's been protecting us all along. In fact, it saved lives and prevent attacks. So shut up, stop complaining, and take the oppression like you're supposed to. It's not the government's fault anyway. It's Edward Snowden's. If he hadn't said anything about it, you wouldn't have known about it, and you wouldn't have had all this trouble stirred up. So you Democrats, shut up because it's your president doing it, and you Republicans, shut up because it was your president that got the ball rolling, and you Libertarians, well, you just plain don't count since you're for the Constitution, and we'll have none of that. Speaking of Mr. Snowden, this story's been running on the news, and I'm sure y'all have heard about it, but in case you haven't, they're reporting an Icelandic business executive has a private plane on standby to transport him from Hong Kong to Iceland. Their government there in Iceland, however, says it has not received an asylum request from Snowden, but the problem is he can only do that if he's in Iceland. So at least Mr. Snowden is now getting some help while trying to stay a step ahead of whoever the United States has looking for him. Hopefully he'll be able to get to Iceland and receive asylum. It's really sad to me, though, that in our supposedly free country, someone exposing government corruption and spying on its own citizens has to seek asylum somewhere else. But getting back to the speech here real quick, here's another clip from Senator Cruz.
President Obama cheered on the demonstrators but refused to take a leading role in helping Egypt make the difficult transition to democracy, opening the door to a Muslim Brotherhood regime that is now taking systematic steps to hollow out that country's fragile constitution.
Oh, aren't we the pot calling the kettle black? They are hollowing out that country's constitution, which is exactly what is happening right here in our country. How about this? Instead of advocating this worldwide intervention in other countries' business, how about we lock down our government first? How about instead of sending money all around the world, having over 700 military bases all over this earth, how about we bring it all home and get our own house in order? Just like I stated on my show last week, we aren't the paragon of freedom and liberty we are supposed to be. We aren't setting a good example of how a free country operates. We have to get our own government under control, get it back within the cage of the Constitution. Once we do that, we'll once again be the ideal, the goal to which the rest of the world aspires. We don't force them to be like us. We give their people a system to emulate. We stimulate their own natural desires to be free. While we're on this subject, those of you who saw this on our Facebook page, it's at facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. We noted this, posted this earlier in the week. And if you go to that, be sure and give a shout out to the NSA, who's probably monitoring all of it, along with the rest of the internet. We're working on getting a website completed where we can put all this stuff, but I'm sure they'll be monitoring there as well. That's just how it works. But anyway, we had a ex-U.S. soldier named Eric Haroun, I believe, who allegedly fought aside the Al-Qaeda affiliate, alongside the Al-Qaeda affiliate against the forces of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the nation's ongoing civil war. And he was indicted by a federal grand jury Thursday on 2 charges of his activities in Syria. What the charges were charged with conspiracy to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization and conspiracy to use destructive devices overseas. Now, he faces a maximum sentence of life imprisonment if convicted of the second charge. And what I think is so crazy is the United States government is providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization, the Syrian rebels, and conspiracy to use destructive devices overseas, and we think it's a good thing. But an individual does it, and he gets brought up on charges. Now, he didn't act against the United States, did nothing at all to harm us, but we're charging him for doing the exact same thing we've done in the past. In fact, we're doing it around the world right now, and we want to do in Syria. This is the problem. This is our government being hypocritical, and Congress isn't calling them out on it because our whole dang government's like this. And it's really our fault for letting it get out of control, which is why I'm here to try and motivate you to do something. Anyway, we're up on the last here of the Patrick Regan Show. If you want more information about us, as I said, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Patrick Regan Show. And you can also go to our archives at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Patrick Regan Show. Thank you for listening again this week. And join me next Saturday afternoon at 4, where we'll be fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on The Patrick Regan Show.